Hi guys,
Hello,
can you hear us? And
I think we are live.
okay, let us know if there's any connection problem or any
Audio problem.
audio problem. Hi Eric,
Hello, Eric.
nice to have you here. Okay, super.
Yeah, so we wanted to host one live Q&A because we get a lot of requests for months and months before, and we want to give you an opportunity to ask us about anything, about photography or filmmaking, anything what you saw from us so far, and also just let us know in the comment section what's your question. We try our best to answer it.
Yeah. Hi Serge, nice to see you.
Hello.
So also we received a couple of questions just in the DMs and on our Patreon site. And until we are not having any questions here in the live chat, then we're gonna go through of those ones.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So there was one question: how much we plan our shoots in advance? Meaning, do we have a detailed shot list with angles? Especially, it was the question for film.
Yeah, I mean, the size of the preparation is always depends on the size of the project. But in general, for example, if you're doing like a smaller like social media campaign or even editorials, we always preparing a mood board with the concept. We discussed all our ideas with the clients, also with the team as well. So it has to be a really nice document, and we have all the ideas for angles, for looks, for color grading, and during the set we use these kind of documents just to have an idea what we want to see. In many cases we like to use our imagination on the set and use those initial ideas just as a guideline. So whenever we see some inspiring angle, a building, anything, then we always like to adapt and not just stick to that script. Obviously this is not the case when you're shooting like a proper commercial, because then it has to be done shot by shot. But general, we like to improvise.
Yeah, but and also because I think we are coming from the photography side, that's how we approach for filmmaking as well. Meaning, we have most often a mood board than a storyboard with lots of details. So we have the mood, what we are looking for the film. We have some pose ideas, or we have some angle ideas, but usually it's not like a really detailed storyboard for our films, because we feel if you don't have enough room for improvisation, especially if it's a fashion film, you're gonna be a little bit stiff, and maybe you want to follow too much your storyboard and not gonna leave enough space just to explore your model's movement, or just to have some accidents which are coming from the location, or whatever could be working for these really good fashion films. But as Thomas said, if it's more of a commercial story, then it's a commercial shoot, then we have more prepared storyboard, of course, but still it's not that detailed than usually filmmakers are doing, because even if it's coming to a commercial job, we want to leave space, and also we want to be more flexible, and also we are encouraging our crew to be more flexible around us. So whenever we are pitching for a shoot which is a commercial, we are really detailing that it's really important for us to have room for flexibility during the day, because we believe that's which could create a really nice moments with the models, really honest feelings.
Yeah, and that was the case. For example, our last shoot for Kerastas, what you can already see on our YouTube channel, because that was a proper massive production. But still, during the preparation, our approach to the whole film was different than other directors. I mean, the classic approach that you are explaining all the angles, describing what kind of lenses you're gonna use, what kind of camera, and what kind of lighting. Obviously, we had these kind of conversations as well, but we always kept a little bit loose those kind of descriptions, because we wanted to make sure that on the set we can put together all the creativity from the DOP, from the models, and from everyone who was involved, the lighting crew. So it was a little bit more easier for them as well. They have a very good time on set, because it wasn't like the proper how you
really
should do
yes.
this kind of campaigns.
Yeah, it could be a little bit frightening for the producer who is working with us for the first time, because they think that if you don't have the really precise storyboard, then maybe you're gonna go off track on set. But we always know what we want and what we are looking for. So I think for us it's really easy, and even easier to work on set and just see something and then really improvise and involve it into the shoot, but also not changing too much, so we are not a headache for all the team. Okay, I don't want to shoot here, I want to go there or whatever. So it's not like that. Just we know, okay, this scene is about, for if we are staying at the Karasta shoot, that for example there was a scene, it was a bicycle scene with 3 talents, and of course we knew what kind of angles we wanted to shoot, but in reality you don't know how they can ride a bike. We had problems with that.
One of the girls simply just cannot ride that bike, so
Yeah.
we had to like give her like 15 minutes or maybe even 20 minutes just to
warm
start to
up,
practice,
yes.
and try to learn how to ride a bicycle in a cool way, and it
Also
worked out.
what we planned in advance, it didn't work from the angle, because we had a construction area behind the background what we wanted to use. So if you are prepared to be more flexible, it's really useful on set, because then you can say, okay, it's not working, okay, let's just move on. Don't force it, because wasting time. Okay, how can we solve the problem? How can we still shoot something really amazing?
Yeah. And we have one question live. Let's just-
Milan was asking, what did you do after school? Did you study?
Like-
I cannot see the whole thing, sorry. Just 1 second. Okay, did you study something, and what were your first projects?
Maybe it's your turn.
Okay, 1 second. Yeah, so how you should start after school. So what I actually did during my university, I already started to work as a photographer. I started to build connections with model agencies, with smaller magazines. Maybe some of you know that we are originally from Hungary, and it's a quite small market if you compare with any other European market. And so it was, in one way, it was easy to get in touch with these smaller magazines, but also I think it's really important to, even while you are studying, if you have a clear vision what you would like to do after school, just start it. Even if you are not gonna earn money for it, or just a really small amount, it's really important to start to build your connections with fashion designers, or really with model agencies. You can do model test shoots, even you can have some money for it, and then
also,
you can practice a lot, and
also you can connect with your age group. So if you meet other people around this industry, like up and coming makeup artists, stylists, fashion designers, they're gonna grow with you as well. So you can build a good team if there is a good match between the different talents. And you never know that maybe one makeup artist or one stylist is gonna be huge in 5 or 10 years. So it's a good way to build up the connection early on. And also, I mean, as a photographer, you can reach out to magazines, you can do a lot of submissions.
And also you shouldn't really expect that you're gonna do the main fashion story for the magazine. Also, I started with really the smaller stories for them, and then even for one magazine I just did portraits of actresses or politicians. So it was a really nice practice, because then you can have time just to practice how you can pose your model, or even just how you can speak with your talent. So it's really difficult in the beginning, especially if you a little bit shy, but I think the way is really just practice, and even just do some stories for yourself. So if you have a connection and you can connect with as Thomas said, with a stylist or makeup artist, then just do some stories for yourself. So it's also a good practice, and you can build your portfolio.
Yeah, and also this was your story, your history. But in my case, I didn't start it as a DP or filmmaker. I started as a graphic designer, so I came from a very different, still creative, but a different field. And during the years I picked up the camera and started to shoot by myself. I watched a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of films from different bigger directors, Hollywood movies, and also art movies, and I tried to recreate some nice image what I saw on the. Sorry, there is some issue with me. So I started to just try out how to recreate some nice images what I saw in a commercial or a film, and this was the way how I approached. And there is still a lot of things what we can learn, but that's also another way to start shooting. My way was much easier because I had Vivienne next to me, so I could join easily a photographer. But
yeah, not everyone's first shoot is a Harper's Bazaar shoot.
It was,
like yours.
No, it was like connections. It's all about connections. So, but yeah, as a new beginner filmmaker, you can join other photographers from your area,
Exactly.
from someone whose visual is very similar for you to yours, and you two of you can collaborate and build a relationship and grow together. Yeah, so there is multiple options how you can reach from one point to the another, and it's always up to you how, if you are lucky, and also if you are looking around and you can see other talents, you can always join, and they will help you to grow. And there's another question. What are your top 3 lenses? I think we already discussed this several times. We really like the wide angle visual look, So our choice is always the 24 millimeter as a base, which is very close to our visual, and then obviously we have 50 millimeter. That's the second choice. Some of you would say this is for the first pick, but for me, 24 is the first one, and then 50. And also we really like macro lenses, just to create beautiful close-ups, especially for beauty projects. We always shoot with macro lenses, and then I don't know. I mean, it always depends on the visual what we want to achieve. But if I need to pick like three, then I would say 24, 50, and 85 millimeter, and some macro. Like it always depends on what's available.
Yeah.
And
I just wanted to go back to Milan's question, because I just had another idea. If you are just starting out, it's also nice to assist for someone else. So you can be on a really professional environment, you can learn a lot from other photographers or filmmakers, and they're usually looking for assistance. So if you are up to this, I think that also could be a really good way just to get in and socialize with the industry. And I think that that could work as well.
yeah.
It just I just wanted to say this as well.
One more question about the Zeiss Compact Prime CP3. Yeah, that's a very good choice. I think we shot.
The question was
know.
what cine lenses should you recommend?
That's tricky because cine lenses are really expensive, as you know probably. But I mean, it depends on if you wanna use it for your own projects or if you wanna have it for like bigger productions. Because if you are shooting like proper campaigns where there is some budget for equipment, then they're gonna handle all the needs. So in those cases, you don't have to invest to a full set of lenses, and probably it's really hard to pick the right choice, because each one has a different look and feel, and maybe certain jobs, I mean not maybe, definitely certain jobs need different kind of visual approach. And in these cases, I wouldn't recommend to buy something expensive, because for smaller projects it's just like overkill. You don't need it. For bigger projects, it's gonna be rented out always by the production.
Yes.
For yourself, if you really want to have something in your case, then I would recommend to maybe go to a cinema store, or maybe you can rent out from a studio and try out different lenses, because it's a big investment. So it's hard to pick something from a catalog, from other videos, because it's always different how you gonna how obviously it works for your project. So I would recommend to rent it out for a day, different brands, and you can try those. And I think other options I wouldn't recommend to.
I mean, our point of view really about the lenses, if it's just for yourself, of course, buy a really good quality one. But even if we are going out for a bigger production, we don't like to use our own equipment, because we are confident to use our own when it's a smaller project. So we are absolutely in control of the environment, and also Maybe it's a budget reason, the client wouldn't be able to pay for a rental equipment. So it's good to have your own build, and also you are more comfortable with your own build always. But it's just so much safer, and we feel more secure if, for example, we are shooting in Paris on the street with 80 people around, and we just don't have to care about the equipment, because so many times you just can put it on the floor or just leave it with the assistant, and I always feel a little bit insecure if my own equipment is in risk.
I mean, we already had issues with our own lights, so because of an accident, they dropped the whole light, and we had to go to a service to fix it later on. But for example, whenever we shoot with a rented camera, I see that a lot of assistants like to just I mean, they don't really care about how they put on the lenses, and a lot of dust and dirt goes in, and I never had this kind of issues for years when I prepare my own camera, but they are just leaving out all the stuffs on the table, and maybe just try to clean it out, and they just don't really care.
I mean, it's really a different approach if it's yours or if it's a rented equipment.
But for example, if I'm going back to the technical side of this question, I mean, it's much more better to try out different lenses during different productions, because when we had budget, we went for example, Cook lenses, but also we shot on Zeiss, and when we don't on Canon Cine lenses, and also now on Zine lenses. We have Zine lenses currently in our own case, so I wouldn't buy, I mean, I would buy all of them and none of them in the same time. So it's tricky question, especially because it's super expensive. Because with photo lenses, it's okay to.
No, it depends what brand.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But it's much more easier if you have Canon or Sony. You can buy a nice set and you are good to go. In the meantime, we had a few questions. So
hi from Brazil.
Hey, Brazil.
Okay, so
what's the biggest difference between fashion filmmaking and any other filmmaking? I mean, the main difference is maybe.
I mean, a lot of differences.
It's a good question. I mean, it's mainly the creativity and how you wanna capture the beauty of a person or a subject or just a product. It's always about.
I mean, a classic filmmaking is everything is about the storytelling. And in fashion film, usually it's always less, but sometimes there even none of storytelling. It's more about the mood, more about selling a product. And with fashion films, even if you want to tell some story, it's just really simplified, because you don't have 2 hours to create something. And also because the main reason is why we are doing fashion films, we want to sell a product, unfortunately.
Yeah, at the end it's an advertisement. Exactly.
And so I think that's the main difference, and all the other difference is coming from that. And it's really simpler. It requires less of the crew. You don't have to plan as much as with real filmmaking or classic filmmaking.
And also in these cases for fashion films, you want to sell a certain lifestyle, a certain mood, something which is connected to the product, if it's clothes. Or just like a feeling. I mean, you can sell just makeup. So then you're gonna try to just capture some kind of emotions on the face. You want to put it in a nice environment if that's the message from the brand, and you have only like 30 seconds to achieve this, because I mean, nowadays, I mean, whenever we started to shoot fashion films, like no one really understood what to do with this kind of format, and those cases they wanted as much as possible for the same amount, and like we get requests for 60 or second or like even 2-minute long videos, and those were like really boring if you just need to sell some handbag or something. And now everyone understands this because it's like a lighter version of a commercial and much more creative in my opinion. And these are not really longer than 30 seconds, so it's not really good for YouTube to we need to create a lot of content to fill up. But yeah. This one maybe?
How do you effectively direct talents, models? Do you simply direct them using words, or you act it out, or did you use your storyboard and show it to them?
Yeah, that's a good question.
All of our shoots are starting with a small chat with our talents, and we trying our best to explain them what we are looking for, what the shoot is about, and we showing them the storyboard or the mood board, even if we have some example films just for the mood from our previous work to show what we usually do with our models. Then I think that's always a really huge help for them, because they immediately know what is our visual, what kind of outcome we are looking for, and if is there any struggle after we start to shoot. First we try with words. If it's really necessary, we can show them. One time we had a really nice model, but because they are coming from different sets, so maybe if there is a model who used to work with a really stiff filmmaker, then they don't really get it how we want them to move in front of our camera. So a couple of times we already showed them, so we just mimicked okay, how we want you to just interact with the camera, and then they immediately just changed and started to do what we were looking for.
Yeah, and it's important just before even the casting is really important, because it's not just the aesthetics of the girl. It's not just all about that, but it's important for film to have some kind of not acting background, but some understanding how to move for film, because for photo it's much more. I wouldn't say that it's easier, but it's more common for a model. If you book a model, they're probably good for photos, but as soon as we switch to video, then they start to fall apart sometimes.
I mean, if
they are not experienced.
It's vice versa, because there are some models who are really good for film, and sometimes I'm struggling with them for photo. So it really depends on their book and their attitude. So if you do your casting well, most of the time still you can have some surprises, but most of the time you can see from their portfolio if they're gonna be good for photo or film. If you are shooting a film, you can ask them to send you previous work if they worked on any fashion films, or just you can ask them to record some selfie videos even, just to show how they can move in front of the camera.
For this Instagram now TikTok is really good source, because on those platforms we're always looking for something like personal post, because then you see some part of their personality. So because on pictures you never know that maybe she was like properly set it up, and the end result was very good at the end, but you never know that it's coming from the model, or they just put all the parts in the right place. So it's better to see them in more personal.
And also I wanted to give you an advice. I found it always better if you leave your model just to move how she's comfortable, and if it's really not the way you want it, then just stop and try to explain. But if they are doing something which is maybe not the perfect, we still let them to keep going, because we hope that maybe if it's a photo, then the next one maybe it's gonna be what I'm looking for. But if I stop them all the time, they're gonna get really stiff. And it's the same for film. Even Thomas is recording sometimes when we know, okay, it's not working, but still keep going, and then we reach the point where we want them. So it's
yeah, I mean, every morning we need to break the ice what between my camera and the model, and sometimes it takes some time, but it's worth to break it.
Question for you again from Search.
Yeah, so question about manual focusing. Yeah, that's
that sucks.
that sucks. Yeah, I mean, when I started to shoot, I used a Canon 5D Mark IV with the best autofocus in the world. I still I would want to go back, but I cannot anymore. And when I switched to red and I started to explore the cinema camera itself, I mean, it was I don't know how many films were like super blurry, and I had a lot of headache to cut just those pieces when I had some kind of focus, because shooting manual is like very, very difficult. And obviously for bigger productions, I'm not gonna talk about the focus puller and why is he there, so that's okay. But I started to just I don't know, just learn how my lenses work, and just it's really hard to explain, but it's a good question. But I mean, it's just practice.
Lots of practice.
A lot of practice, because in my head, I need to think about, okay, what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna move closer to the model. So I need to adjust the focus in that speed what I wanted to use to approach. But in the meantime, since we are improvising on set a lot of time, I don't really know what's gonna be the next move of the model. If I'm asking her, okay, just use this space, you can walk, dance, and jump around this area, and I'm gonna do the same. And I mean, at one point, somehow we find sync with the model. I always feel something like some kind of connection. I know it sounds bullshit, but
no, it's
but after a while, the model starts to feel how I'm moving around her, and I don't know. I just learned the way how my lenses work and where is the focus point at that distance, and
yeah, and
the rest is like creativity. So I'm not afraid of falling out of focus, because at the beginning I was super I mean, I was shocked that I could not do the same by hand what my Canon did before. I had no problem with any of the focus. So I started to become more loose during these shoots, and our films, a lot of time you can see that there are a lot of blurry aesthetic but blurry shots, and those are not bad or wrong things to have a shot which is a little bit messed up. I mean, those shots are what creates character, I think. And I started to include more and more, and in the end, in the editing room, we can always cut out some nice shots. So if the client wants something super focused and super sharp, then we
focus puller.
we book a focus puller, but we never get any complaint that they don't feel that the product is in focus or something is off.
And also, it was really interesting to start to work for your first time with a focus puller, because I felt like you are not in control, and it was hard for you to find the sync with the focus puller in the beginning.
In those cases, there are like 3 persons who need to connect somehow. And yeah, I mean, I know that, okay, I'm gonna move closer, or maybe just the model is super close, so I wanted to just go down and shoot from a different angle, but I didn't tell this in advance to my focus puller, because even I didn't know that I'm gonna do that thing, because our shoots are not like I mean,
it's not like one camera movement with one scene, and then everyone knows what's gonna happen. So
it's not like, okay, I'm just gonna go closer and just focusing on the handbag, and that's the shot. No, we always start from somewhere and then just move around, improvise a lot of different.
So it's
shots.
Not easy to be your focus puller.
No,
I can tell that from experience as well. Another question. Are the videos mostly used on Instagram?
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
do you do vertical videos? How different is it from landscape?
All the time when we shoot for social media, or not just social media, anything what we shoot, because even the Kerastase, which is a big production, and some smaller editorial, is shot horizontally, 16:9, and the client's always asking for Instagram story, so he had to crop it in 9:16, and also depends on the client, they want square or portrait formats as well, like for teasers. And also they're gonna put it on YouTube or on their website if it's a store or maybe an online magazine. So we always need like all the formats, and this is not something what you can really prepare for, because you cannot shoot everything in 5 or 6 different formats. So in a lot of cases we have to be creative, because that maybe there is a beautiful opener which is horizontal, and somehow we need to recreate in a portrait format as well. So in those cases we can crop it or just put some different frames. Luckily the clients are like these kind of like frame by frame effects or something like this for stories, but we never shoot in vertical only. One time I shot
because they said it's not gonna end up
the client said it's gonna be only for story. I asked them like multiple times, are you sure, because I cannot do anything. And after, when we shot everything and sent the first version, of course they asked for 16:9 version of that film, and we had like a massive headache to
edit something.
to edit. Yeah, like we had to put it like multiple times the same video just to create some like used as a cool effect, but it was like that was the only way to fill up the frame. So
yeah, and for example, the Karastas campaign, what we did, we had to be really careful whenever we used Emily, because she was the star of the shoot. She's the main character of the story, so we had to place her in the middle, in the center all the time. If we had all the models, all the talents together, she's in the center. So we know if it's coming to a story format for Instagram or a portrait format, she's gonna be in the frame. So that's also another idea how you can avoid missing out something really important. So if usually you are composing your shots in the middle, then you can be really safe with the different formats.
Yeah. Another question from Christian. When a fashion label is asking you to shoot a film, how do you get your ideas for concept? That's a good question. For fashion labels, they always giving us like a proper brief. We get a nice package, which is mostly an internal document about the collection. So we get many ideas what even they use for the creation of that collections. Like in one case, even if for example for a Chanel beauty film, we get the inspiration from their lookbook, because it was all about like nature and water and natural elements, and so that was their idea for the colors. So we came up with this idea that okay, let's work with water, with different textures, different reflections, and we then send back our ideas based on their concept. And this, if this idea is approved by the brand, then we can go ahead and shoot something.
Yeah, the idea is usually coming from the brands, from the magazine. So it's not like we come up with something really different or something what we want to do. So it's always the main idea is coming from the client, and then we are trying to turn it to our language as much as it's possible. And but you still have to keep the original in it. And
for a new season, we always need to watch the runway show just to see the whole collection. If the campaign film is already out, then we need to watch that and analyze what kind of language they use, because obviously we cannot do something totally different if it's something like a black and white film and it's super raw. Then, for example, for like Saint Laurent or something from nowadays, then we need to do something which is very close to that.
Yeah, you always have to keep the brand's origin in it. So
yeah,
I hope that was.
Maybe this question is the next one. How long did it take to make a living from your work? I mean, you finished the school, the university in
2010.
2010, so it's 12 years since she's working like officially as a photographer, and I joined like 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
5,
I think. Yeah. So, I mean, it always depends on what kind of
I never had a
situation
proper
are you in.
I always worked as a freelancer once I finished my university, and I had to make my living out of it. So I think for me the main difference is how many shoots I had to take, which I wouldn't take now in the beginning. So because you want to make your living, you have to compromise, and my career wasn't really
just about fashion.
It wasn't just
because
about
you cannot really select at the very beginning.
Yes, and I had to shoot portraits, products, whatever, really, which was coming to me. So in the beginning, but of course, as you start to build your name, you can be more selective, and the main difference is now that we can work less, we can work on bigger projects, so it's not like we are shooting every day. We had a period before where we were shooting almost every day, and that's how we were able to make enough money. But luckily, I think the good point when you are at your career where you don't have to work every day and shoot everything, so it takes time, and of course we still not where we want to be, because it's always good to have more goal, and
I mean, it's all about the finding the balance between creative jobs and money jobs, because at the beginning both of us shot a lot of things for like minimum budget, but those days were like very good for building a portfolio, to try out different things, to make a lot of mistakes and learn from those, and buy equipment and then learn that and then buy something else again. And as fast as you can go up and up on that level, like if you can get a bigger project, because you're not gonna get any major campaigns at the beginning, obviously, because it's for those who are already proved a lot of things, but at least you can use those times to learn as much as possible, because later on you need to remember to solve issues. And now we can work slowly, we can work on much bigger projects, and we could not have, I mean, we don't have really time to work all the time. Like we could not go back to shoot like daily.
Yes, and also these projects are not like a smaller editorial shoots. It's not like, okay, you are preparing for the shoot, for example, for one day, and you are shooting, maybe you are doing the edits, so it takes a couple of days and that's it. We are working now on projects which sometimes just the preparation takes months.
Yeah.
And
it's much more work before and after the shoot itself. So
yes,
like sometimes 2 or 3 months the preparation.
so there is a question, where do we base in?
Yeah, currently we are in Berlin, in Germany, but we're always on the road, so that's why it's really hard to say that where are we based, because we shoot a lot in Paris, so it's like a second home for us. And also now that we slowly going out from this pandemic, hopefully we can shoot more and more in different countries, but mostly in Europe, like from London to Milan, from Berlin to Paris, like these areas where we mainly operating. But also we have a lot of we have agency in Istanbul, and also we got requests from New York. So we'll see what's happening next.
Thank you so much from Poland.
Hello, Poland.
Okay. Thank you so much, Javier. It's nice to hear that you can relate with our stories.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I really missed when I started, because I always wanted to watch how other famous photographers, filmmakers are working, because I love those behind the scene content, because you can learn so much. And obviously you first you're gonna just copy it, but that's how everyone gets their inspiration and ideas. And I never really found anyone who doing the same, especially who's specialized in fashion. Because if I wanted to be like a YouTuber or something like that, or some, like, I don't know, wedding photographer or portrait photographer, I think I could find, because those guys like to create
I
YouTube
think
channels.
fashion is really trying to be elite and secretive.
Yeah.
And it's a really closed community and industry. What I really don't like about it, because
everyone is protecting their connections, their techniques. What I can understand, because you don't want to just create competition around you. But I mean, I don't really like that it's super closed, like completely closed. Even if I watch someone famous, like huge and very old photographer, I never see anything what I can really steal. I mean,
yeah,
in
they are
nice
not,
way,
they are
because
not
they
sharing.
cut everything out where the magic happens. So maybe this will change over time.
Yeah, but that's why we started our Patreon page, and also we just started the YouTube membership, because we wanted to share more, of course, not for everyone, so we have to be a little bit slightly more selective, but I think that's something what we can give and share, and try to also just encourage other talents, because we know how struggling this industry could be. And even till today, everyone thinks if you reach a certain point, there is no rejection anymore. But we really have to tell you guys that everyone is facing with rejections almost every day, and it's a really struggling industry, and you have to be really careful how you can move from one point to another, and you really have to believe in yourself, because nobody else gonna be
I mean,
in the beginning.
at one point, and in our lives, like many times, it happened that it looks like it's much more easier to just give up and get a decent job. Maybe I can go to work for like a production company. I can be around cameras, and I don't have to worry about my salary. Or I mean, and that's not a bad job. I'm not saying that, but it's really hard to start like a freelance career and then find success when everyone is like want to be your friend and also your enemy as well,
or your competition.
or competition. So it's not easy, and a lot of very talented people just falling out and give up this thing. But
and also, as you said, Thomas, it was the same with me, because even though there are so many photographers but because they are really secretive about their tricks, and I felt the same in the beginning in my career, that if I can have someone who can advise me, give me some, just even couple of words could really change your thinking about your work. So that's why I really like to have our students and just really, because sometimes they even don't know how good what they did, and we can tell them, okay, this editorial really works, and why is it working, or we can find where are they struggling. So I think it's
some kind of mentorship was missing, or we just didn't found it, but probably it was missing, and that's why we started also on Patreon. We had like different tiers of like different type of content you can get. If I can just put out like an advertisement for our Patreon, that we share their behind the scene content. We write articles about our workflow, our cameras, lenses, and also we started this kind of masterclass or something like that, where we can really talk about one-on-one on video call with our photographers or filmmakers, and they can share with us their work, and they can get
they can get a
feedback from
portfolio
us.
review at first, and then we can try to find where are they struggling, what they can just improve. Or we have one amazing photographer who's with us, I think, more than a year. And on a monthly basis, if you are working with someone, it's just so amazing to see how much her work improved from month to month. And she's doing lots of shoots for herself, so we can really guide her way. And I think that's really,
and this kind of
important.
knowledge is not really out there. Like, it's not there, unfortunately. And also, I would prefer more this kind of connection, like one-on-one talks, because then you can really go into the details, and because every photographer and every filmmaker is different, have different struggles. Someone is know very minimal for about the technical part. One is like super into the technical, but the creative part is missing a little bit, and you need to work on that. So these kind of like mentorship programs are very good, I think. But it's just enough for this advertisement. But
so for the last time, you can find it on Patreon, or you can find this package from the YouTube membership as well. But we finished our selling our membership program. Okay. So let's go back to the questions.
How did you land your first big fashion client?
I think our first, I mean, it's really...
Which one is defining big?
I mean, it's really different, because once Thomas joined me, it was a little bit easier to get our first big client for fashion film. And how it happened that I think for fashion films, our first big client was Chanel. And I clearly remember that the first shoot what we did, it was for Marie Claire, Hungary. We shot it in a desert for 2 days, and they saw it on my Instagram at that time, and they said, okay, that's exactly what we are looking for. And from that point, we started to work a lot with Chanel and shoot not just photos, but lots of fashion films. Until today, we are working a lot with them.
But in other case, we had a lot of producers who started to just follow us on Instagram. We saw them, we saw the production company, but we never had any direct contact with them. And after like in several times, like I don't know, maybe 6 months after, they contact us to shoot for a certain client.
Yeah, I think it's more like if a pitch is good for us, then maybe they're gonna remember our work and name, and they're gonna send us this pitch, and if we can win it together, then we can just land our next campaign.
What's very important is to, even if you are a photographer or filmmaker, you need to build your own style. So there is some kind of similarity in every single films what we trying to put out. Obviously it's not exactly the same, but there is some kind of like rhythm, the editing, the colors, maybe the framing is somehow defines a style. And whenever a project comes which has like super street style and really fast cut film what they wanted, then like several times it happened that they literally came to us with references with our own photos or own films. So
yeah, that's the ideal.
That's the ideal that they're looking for this. There is another question.
So regarding behind the scenes of our shoots, yeah, we already did couple, not a lot to be honest, but I think one is on YouTube at the moment. We shot 2 years ago. Just in the beginning of the pandemic, we shot one behind the scene. It was a really minimal crew on set, and it was an editorial. You can find it on YouTube. Even
but
we
most
can
of the
link
time,
it
these
later.
kind of contents are not just out for the public, but we put it on Patreon and
Yeah,
also.
unfortunately, we have to go back to advertising our Patreon page because just today we posted a behind-the-scene film of our shop art campaign shoot. So,
but it's really hard to create more content because whenever we go to a shoot, we don't really hire anyone to do the behind the scene. Sometimes it's coming from the client, or the production has someone who's taking pictures or creating some kind of video if they have a budget for that. But otherwise they don't really creating any behind the scene content because they just take some pictures with their phones and create some smaller videos, and they just posted that as a behind the scene.
I think the main struggle is for us, to be honest, if we would do an educational behind the scene, not just the classical one, it would take so much energy on set, and at the moment we just don't have really we have to focus what we are shooting, not we are shooting behind the scene, because just for a classic behind the scene film which could just give you some idea what we are doing, but it would be amazing if we can even just comment and do it more like a vlog or something like that. But once we are on a proper set, we just don't have an energy and time for it.
It wouldn't be a nice thing to show this to a client. I mean, they want us to be laser focused on why are we there, not creating some extra content. But maybe one day we can do like a workshop.
Yeah, actually that's a good idea.
How to balance creative and commercial?
You mean how to balance Mr. Entertainer? How to balance a job, a creative job and a commercial job, or creativity and commercial between one job?
Yeah.
We can answer differently because at the moment in the last couple of years we were focusing more on commercial shoots, which we really liked, but actually just this year we decided, okay, we're gonna take more editorial shoots as well, just to mix it up, so we can because if you are doing commercial, of course, it's a little bit limited for your creativity. Still, you can be creative, and of course, that's the goal, to be as creative as possible. But we started to shoot again more editorials, because there we have even more room to just express ourselves. Still, there is limitation, but we can be more experimental on these sets. So that's how it's a different scale of job, of course, different budget, but for our soul, it's really important at that stage to really balance it out, because then we can still have the commercial shoots, but we also equally enjoying, but still have the smaller ones where we can express ourselves a little bit more.
And also, just an addition, a lot of times when we get clients who wanted to shoot something which is not really on the creative side, we shot the same collection for multiple times. Sometimes we started to feel that it's not really creative anymore. I mean, at that few months. So we always went back to create proper fashion editorials where we can do whatever we want to do, because we can use those kind of projects just for our soul, as you mentioned, and also we can do something differently without the weight of the client on your shoulders. So sometimes, for example, before we moved to Berlin, where we came from, the visual, photo and film perspective, the visual is very different, and we started to do films which is more similar to this visual, just to have something in our portfolio and we can show to this market and this audience. So it's always good to balance the commercial and the creative or fashion side.
But if the question is how we can balance within one shoot the commercial and creative part, it's always the starting point is the mood board or the storyboard. So if you have room, you can put as much creativity into your mood board, what you can go away. So if the client let you to do that, that's amazing. And then even on set, for example, if it's a really product focused shoot, we still love to include some really emotional shots from the models, something really which is not about the product, but about the model or about the location. So you can still balance it out nicely, and still everyone's gonna be happy because it's about the product, but you have something more. It's adding another layer to it always if you have emotions, personalities, etc.
Yeah. Checking down.
Thank you so much, Mert. It's really nice to hear that. Jamie is asking if we have a crew, and if so, how big is it?
Well, it always depends on where are we shooting and for who and how big is the budget. We have a lot of contacts grouped in different cities, so we always try to look for new talent, new makeup artists, new stylists.
Yeah, but also we have our favorites and go-to persons.
And also DOPs if we are shooting like a commercial. And whenever we found those people who already proved their talent, then we like to go back and help them and meet, and also they are almost more like a friend, not like just our crew. So whenever we're shooting in Paris or London or here in Germany, somewhere we always look for the local talent. Obviously, if they want to work with like an international crew, then also we can fly in someone.
So many times it's not even up to us, to be honest.
Yeah, a lot of times they use the same makeup artist who understands the brand, so it's coming from the brand in those cases.
For us, we like to work with, to be really honest, if we don't have a bad experience with someone, we really like to work and try everyone, and but also if it's up to us, then we know who we are really comfortable on set and easy to work, so that's why we have preferred persons for different shoots, or even for different titles or but how big is the crew? It's really, as Thomas said, it really depends on budget and production.
If
we can work with 8-10 people on set if it's an editorial, as everyone does, but we can work with 80 people or even more. It really depends on the size of the shoot. So Walid is asking, how do you plan for your shooting in a crowded area like Paris, for example?
I mean, that's a tricky question, because it's always a bit headache how the crowd is reacting. In Paris, it's easier comparing to any other cities, because probably London or New York is the same, that they are so used to these
London is the same
productions on the street. Every corner has a photo shoot in these kind of cities, so they don't really react in a bad way. And if the project allows us, we like to involve the crowd also in the images. So we don't want to shoot empty streets and make something surreal. So in those cases, probably we blurred out the people in the background, so no one is recognizable, but we're trying to use those kind of crowds. Maybe the model can run in the middle and the camera just go after that, and we can use those kind of moments. And a lot of videos what we have on the website, and also a lot of photos are just looking at now has this kind of element, like one model in a bigger crowd, and for this reason we always trying to minimize our technical crew and all the camera equipment, because we really like to make it make the camera very small, so it's not really visible from a distance. Because as soon as, I mean, some people, if they saw a camera, they think that, oh, maybe I'm gonna be in the frame, so I'm gonna go to the other side of the street, and that's not ideal, because I wanted to shoot the person as well. So in those cases, we always walk around with a smaller crew. Just those are coming with us who are necessary to be there. If there is a client and they wanted to watch on a monitor, we always ask them to just stay in a distance, and they don't have to come after us, and we're trying to blend in.
Yeah, if it's a bigger production, then obviously the production is gonna block those areas that we want to use without people. But also, if you want to use empty streets, then you really have to be careful with your locations and select those locations where you can be comfortable that it's not be really crowded. We did a mistake one time in Paris. We wanted to shoot at Poly Tokyo, and we didn't know that during the day it's really a spot for skateboarding. For a lot of young guys are
and they don't care about the camera.
And they don't care at all about.
They are there for skateboarding. So
yeah, but we still managed to shoot something with emptier spaces. But yeah, you just have to be careful with your location selection in the beginning. And it's the same with permits. Of course, if it's a bigger crew than 10 people, the rules are in Paris that you need a permit. For certain buildings, you definitely need a permit. But if you just want to go out and shoot, until you are not putting anything on the street, then you're good to go. So you
like
can
tripod, lighting, anything. So if you have a small camera in your hand, you can walk around and
also
shoot
a small
all day
crew,
long.
then there is no problem to shoot without a permit.
But this is different in every city. So
yeah, I mean, it's just what I was
Berlin
talking.
or Hamburg is completely the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So
you have to be careful where are you shooting and know about the rules, so you're not gonna get in trouble.
How long does it take to produce, shoot, post a fashion film? Well, I mean, like if we are shooting an editorial, it's a lot of times it depends on the magazine when it's coming out. Usually they book us not even the month before. Maybe a month before they book us, but the shoot is usually on the 5th or 10th day of the month, and they closing the issue during like around.
I mean, it really depends on the title, but
like a normal monthly magazine, it's always closing on the 22nd day of the month. So we usually have like 5 to 10 days to have the photos retouched because those are going to print, and if we can manage, we can give the fashion films as well, but we like to give some more time till all the pictures are finalized, because we always emphasize that we want to make sure that the photo and the film is very similar in terms of mood, in colors, and the whole aesthetics. And so we always wait till the pictures are finalized and then do the color grading and everything. But
I would say 2 weeks usually what we get for the whole.
And in this example, if you stay with this, then the magazine usually comes out in the next month, maybe between the 1st and the 5th day. And then we can post the film and the photos right after the client or the magazine is posting it. So usually the turnover is like 1 month, but the actual work what we have to put in is maybe a 10-day, 5 to 10 days maximum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For bigger projects, I mean, it's months. Like we worked on
for a year.
Or yeah, I think 1 year was the record so far.
Where are we?
What kind of editing program are we using? For videos, we switched from Final Cut Pro. I mean, I started with Final Cut Pro at the very beginning, and then later on I heard a lot of good things about about DaVinci Resolve, and I started to explore how it works. And since then, I switched completely to DaVinci in the past, I don't know, 3 years, I think. So everything is edited, color graded in DaVinci Resolve. And for photo, I mean, on set, if it's a header shoot, we definitely use Capture One, and everything else is edited in Photoshop. So
Yeah.
we're not using really Lightroom, but that's just a choice. I mean,
And also in Capture One, I'm just editing as much I have to on set, just for the client. If they want to see it in black and white, or if they want to see it a little bit warmer tone or colder, whatever.
like basic styling you
Yeah.
can add, but we're not really focusing on that during the day, just to make sure that it looks okay. and the rest is done in Photoshop.
Thank you so much, Tinavi, for your kind words, and congratulations for your first assisting.
Yeah, the Red Komodo. I mean, I'm in love with that camera. Previously, I had a Red Raven, and also I used a lot of other Red cameras. I always requesting 5, 6, or 8K Red cameras, depends on the project and the budget. But whenever the Komodo came out, I was really blown away. How small is it? How light is it comparing to anything else from Red or other brands as well? And so far I'm happy with it. The limitation is in terms of frame rate is interesting, because I really like to shoot in 60 FPS and play with the speed later on, like do really nice slow motion effects. But now I'm shooting everything in 50 FPS, and I can go down to 25 FPS. It's not the same, but the difference between the two cameras is so huge. And I thought that initially it's gonna be just the resolution and the physical size, but in terms of the colors and the noise and like everything else is like, as soon as I had the first clip recorded and I saw on the monitor, I was like,
He's really in love with this camera.
I was like, I need this camera, and I already ordered at that day, and it took like, I don't know, 3 months to get it.
Yeah.
3 or 4 months because of the chip shortage. But it's here, and I already use my own Komodo, so currently I'm in the process to build up and customize it how I wanted to use it later on. But it's a fun fact that the Kerasta shoot, which is like a TV commercial with a big production crew, the proper client, was shot on a Komodo. So whenever I heard that Komodo is for B cam and it's just the crash cam, as they said, maybe for Hollywood productions, yes, but for everything else, it's the A cam. So you don't need really a bigger camera like that. And actually, I was in between the Blackmagic Pocket 6K and the 6K Pro and the Komodo when I picked the Komodo. So I think these two cameras are very good for fashion. I mean, I never see anything I never experienced that it wasn't enough for what we're doing, especially for Instagram. So.
Yeah. Okay, what is your video transmitter? Which one are you using?
Teradek. Actually, I use different ones. Mainly on the set, it's Teradek, but also I saw Paralinx for smaller one, which is also today is sold by Teradek. And now I tried a Chinese brand. It's called Vexis, which is super cheap, like fourth of the price of one Teradex. So, and it's super reliable, and you don't need to plug anything in. I mean, just the HDMI or SDI cables, but everything is better than than a cable. I saw one time, it was super funny to see another shoot. I'm not gonna say any names, but I saw a director walking after the DOP, and they had like a 5-meter long HDMI cable, and it was plugged into a monitor, and that was the wireless transmission between the two, and they didn't have any issues. I mean, they thought that it's it's good to just connect with a cable. So if you want to buy something cheap but good quality, I would recommend the Vexis. I don't know what's the name. 500, I think Vexis 500. If you have more money, then I would go for Teradex, definitely.
And we have a question about location scouting. How often do we do location scouting? And if we are just doing if a project is coming up, or in our free time also we are doing it. I mean, all the time, if we are in a new area and we see something, then we are taking picture of it, even just with our phone. So whenever we are walking in Paris, just in our free time, and we see something really amazing, then we just save it for later.
And we cannot distance ourselves from our professional side, so yeah, we're always looking to angles and places and models.
And even once we are on vacation and we really like the place, then we try to also match it with some upcoming projects if it could be a good match. So even if you are not doing a proper location scout, then still you are doing it every day almost. So it's just coming from nature. But
the productions are usually doing this. Sometimes, I mean, they're requesting us to go there, but sometimes they're just coming and they hiring a proper company specialized for this, and they said, okay, we need stairs and fountains and beautiful panorama, and they send us all the good spots which is ready. So in those cases we don't have to go physically to the place, but also it's a good thing to just look around when you have the spots. Just use like Google Street View in some cases, not really up to date in many cases, but at least you can see how crowded is the area, what can be visible from certain angles.
Let's skip this. Again, it's a technical question. It's yours.
Yeah, regarding the size, 35mm, that's a really good choice. I would recommend it to have that. But also, as I said, yeah, 24, 50, and 85 is my focal length.
Yeah, and the macro.
And the macro, yeah. For example, for the Komodo, I really like the 100mm macro from Canon. It's a photo lens, but with a beautiful visual look. And this came, I think, it stuck with us from the Raven, I think, or maybe even before.
I mean, I bought it for myself for photo purpose.
But it works very well with the red cameras, yeah.
Okay. And yeah, I think we answered for every question. No. Okay. There's a new one.
That's a good question. So any tips for negotiating prices for video production, photography with clients such as magazines, brands? Yeah,
that's a really tricky question, and I would say that usually what we like to do is asking if they have already any budget in mind. Especially magazines are working with a really strict budget, so I'm sure they're gonna ask you for a shoot with a certain budget, so you can decide if it's okay for you or not, or what can you put in it within this budget, or how can you use that budget for creative purpose. For example, if it's a really low budget, then try to plan your shoot outside so you can save studio cost. That's usually what we are doing. Or if it's a bigger job, not for a magazine, for some production, usually again they have already in mind some kind of budget. Of course, they're gonna ask for your day rate. If you can calculate with a day rate for yourself what would be ideal for a certain type of job, then it could be a really good starting point for negotiations. But also it really depends how flexible we can be, how much we want to do the shoot. So
yeah, if it's a great idea with maybe they have a like maybe a top model is visiting the city and you can have a top model in your portfolio, then obviously you should take it because it's a good
yeah, there is a difference between money job and portfolio job, but for us it's really important to not to work for free, not even if it's the best opportunity of your life, because we just don't think it's right to ask anyone to work for free after a certain level. But as I said,
a lot
we
of clients are like to use this as a
I mean,
as a trick.
it's mainly just magazines who like to try it. But as I said, you can be really flexible with your rates and always ask for at first if the production has already something in mind, and then you can see even if it's a good starting point or something is really not possible, and you can just say no for that job because you are not comfortable with the rate and with the budget.
Hello, India.
Hi from India. You guys have some really funny.
I cannot see the characters. No. It's like just random characters. So we don't know your name, but
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, guys. So you like the 100 macro? It's nice, yeah.
Wait, that's your question?
Yeah, I mean it is absolutely normal.
But the question, so is it normal to charge buyouts? That's the question. Yeah, I mean, and also it's connecting to the negotiation. It's really important to specify everything what needs to be delivered, so there is no surprise in the end, because a lot of clients are like to give you just loose ideas what you need to do, like just do some short clips for TikTok or something, like a few clips during the day. Sometimes we had like shoots where we had like a main theme what we had to shoot, and in between still we waited for a certain model. The clients like to ask us just to do something small, some creative things, and those are just traps that at the end you're gonna work on the whole day, and they gonna request a lot of extra content what you didn't sign up for and didn't charge. So in advance you need to specify what they need, how long is the video, how many edits they need, how many different formats you need to deliver.
Also, how many turnarounds? So
Yeah.
how many changes?
Usually
they
we give like 3 edit rounds for each project, and everything above is like an extra
charge.
because some clients just like to keep modifying, but as soon as they need to pay for it, then they quickly they quickly find that it's already good as it is. So, and if you build up during the over some projects your price list, like you know that okay, this is my rate for lookbook, this is for 30-second fashion film for a full day with 5 different formats. If you build up these, then you can always push.
And also you have to be really careful about the usage. How long are you giving the usage, and then if they want to reuse it, you can charge again. So this is something that you have to be really specific with your quotation.
Yeah.
All the time.
That's great to hear, Benjamin.
Oh, that's so nice.
That's also a tricky question.
The tricky question is, how would you recommend us on getting elevated brands to choose us and make our work to get noticed? This is from Benjamin. How to reach them? I mean, it really depends on which brands are we talking about, and sometimes even if you have a brand in mind, maybe your visual is not a good match, or also we have some brands we really love and would love to work, and we still haven't got anything with them. But I think usually it's really coming down to your visual. So whenever a brand sees themselves in your portfolio, it's so much easier to get picked. But also you really need to have the connections for the right creative agency or production company. So
yeah, these kind of projects never
coming directly from the client.
No. So there won't be any call from Nike or Louis Vuitton.
I mean, we had, but it's
no. But usually it goes through on an advertising agency who hires a production company, who maybe reach out to talent agencies or producers, and they have a set of
Or art
photographers.
buyers
Yeah.
who can find the perfect persons for the certain
Yeah,
job.
and you
So-
cannot skip this. So even if you are a director or photographer, you cannot go to directly to even the creative agency or the brand. Obviously, it's unreachable from that point. You need to build connections with production companies, producers, art buyers, or maybe you need a very good agency who has connections to these other companies.
Yeah, that's a good question. How long do you keep raw footage after you deliver your final results?
Yeah, I mean, it always depends on the how much budget you have for storage. And after a while we started to, because any of us are doing shoots, photo shoots, video shoots, which is like just money or just something what you're never gonna reuse like after a certain time, or maybe even not gonna watch it because it was so basic. So there is no way to, there is no really a good point to just store it. But on the other side, when you were there for a day and you edited for 5 days, it's already a lot of work is in that project, and you don't want to just drop it out the window. So but we went to this point at one point of time because we just ran out of space. Especially this was actually dated when I bought the Red Raven, because with the Canon it was fine. It shot like motion JPEGs, but with the Red RAW files, I mean, there was no point to shoot with Red, but not use the RAW footages. So I could switch to ProRes, but that's not the point. I mean, then why am I shooting on this?
So how long are you keeping it?
So we started to archive our footages, and we just started to export everything in the highest quality. In Final Cut, we could do like a master quality or something like this, and we deleted all the raw files just to save space. But later on, we regretted, yeah, because there is a lot of good things that we can reuse, even for showreels and even for tutorials. Like this is how we did this, and we don't have anymore just the final high-res export. So we purchased a proper NAS drive, and we started to just keep everything, all the raw files for, I think, like 3 years. I mean, we have everything since you started your career, but not everything in raw. But hopefully we're gonna keep everything from now on. Yeah. But it's a lot of money, and just
investment.
Yeah, investment. $6K footage. That's a good question. It's hard to answer because we already had a lot of. I mean, I think the first one was we had like a 20 terabyte drive, which was mirrors, so it was like we had the double copy of everything. But then at that time the 20 terabytes was like super expensive. Now it's now you can easily double it for the same price. Actually we using Synology's NAS, and you can just buy like 6 or 8 or even 10 rack drive, which is completely empty, and then just buy 2 drives or 3 drives in the same size, and then as soon as it started to fill up, you can just buy another one and it's gonna continue from there. Yeah, so the daily footage size, yeah, it's like 2 terabytes for me as well. Like 2, it never been over 2 terabytes. And especially when you really know what you want to shoot, like you're not doing like a lot of extra and not just running the camera all the time, it's even less in some cases. Like 1.5, 2 terabytes is enough for a day. Yeah.
So quickly, guys, if you have any more questions, just let us know.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we can go forever.
Yeah, but soon we're gonna end our live because we are almost at 2 hours. We planned for 1 hour. But
nice.
If you have any more questions, just let us know.
Obviously, we're gonna come back at a later time and do another one, another Q&A. But usually we do live streams about certain topics. This live stream is now public, but those live streams are only for our YouTube members and Patreon members. And like, for example, just to give an idea for those who are watching, that we did a live stream which is also recorded, so you can watch it if you are a YouTube member or Patreon member. One was about the photo equipment. We showed all the tools that we have in our case, and also we did like one photo, one for video. And
you put together your camera.
I built my Komodo from the brain till the final form. We had a lot of technical issues, so it's not the best.
I mean, with the live stream.
With the live stream, yeah, there was always a funny technical.
But we did one live stream about lighting. It was just last week. Yes. We are doing it on a monthly basis, so that's what we are offering to our YouTube members, and also for a certain tiers at Patreon, that we are coming up with a live stream in every month, and also we are answering for every questions during those streams as well.
Favorite director?
I think it's really hard to answer, but certainly we like Wes Anderson, absolutely. And it was really fun to do something inspired by him. It was a fun shoot to do.
Yeah, I mean, but like all the big names, I mean, like Scorsese. So I don't know. It's hard because we have a lot of great films in our minds. But
I couldn't. I cannot pick favorite director, to be honest.
No. I like Tarantino's look and those kind of visuals, but
our taste is different.
Yeah, so it's hard. Hard to. We are not really into maybe Michael Bay.
We can agree about that. Okay.
His visual is different than ours.
Okay, so let's go back to these questions. Can you explain a little what do you do to find inspiration and creativity after all these years? The main inspiration is coming from the brand, or as Thomas already mentioned, that always when a project or a client is approaching us, there is already some kind of idea, and then it's really easy to work with that idea as a base, and then just build out it more, and try to bring ourselves more into it. And of course we watch a lot of movies, we are using Instagram as an inspiration. So if you are following the right people on, for example, on Instagram or other social media platforms, then you get a daily inspiration. And
But also, I mean, you need to be open for everything. Like, we like to go to exhibitions and inspire from artists before the century, and also in our case, because we have to create content to social media, we have to watch a lot of TikToks as well, because that's
we
also...
don't have to, but that's a good excuse. Okay, Thomas, yeah.
No. But for example, for Chopard, they wanted to do something in terms of like maybe transitions or editing or pace. They want something for the TikTok generation. So obviously we cannot do it if we are not following some good examples.
No, that's true. I'm just kidding.
So yeah, but I mean, everything can be inspiration, like a movie. Maybe just one effect if it's just a technical inspiration, or maybe it's just the mood, or just the soundtrack of a film.
Yeah, even just the music could be a really good inspiration. And also, just a quick tip. During the day, if I see something on social media or on Pinterest or in a magazine or whatever, I'm just saving it. So we have a really good basis for inspiration. And once a mood board or a pitch is coming in, then we already have lots of different imagery to select, and that could be helpful during the work.
And also, it's a good thing to just save these ideas, maybe sorted in a different folder structure, that you can save a lot of locations, angles, colors, how to pose one model, two model, a group shot, and you can just save these in a folder on your phone or your laptop. And whenever you stuck on set and you need some ideas, you can just go through on it between two setups and try to recreate the same thing.
But in your own language.
Yeah, I mean, not copying, but
yeah,
inspiring.
Thank you so much, Travel Story Films, for your nice words, and we are happy that you liked the Deepika commercial shoot what we did. It was a fun one. Manish is asking how to pitch for fashion designers and brands. We already talked about it, so you have to rewatch
from the beginning.
Not
it's
from the beginning.
Hours.
I don't know where we were talking about, but I think around half an hour ago we just were talking about this topic.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna repeat it. And again, it's the same. Yeah, we already talked about that one too. So
I think after We're just
2
passing
hours.
the 2 hours now in 30 seconds. So we are super happy that we have a lot of viewers today and a lot of questions, and hopefully you found this helpful, and you can use our ideas and everything what you heard for your next projects. And just keep following us if you are happy what we are hosting, and hopefully the next live Q&A gonna be, I'm not sure if it's gonna be soon, but
Yeah,
one day.
it's gonna happen.
But if you wanted to get more information from us, ideas, behind the scene footages, and also like tutorials or articles and anything behind the set, just check our Patreon and YouTube membership sections, and there we can offer a lot of insider information as well. Also, we have like one-on-one conversations with photographers or filmmakers.
It's more like a consultation about their portfolio and their creative approach, so we try to help.
Yeah, so that's probably gonna be helpful if you want to join. And also, if you have any other questions, this video is gonna be recorded and also posted later on, so
You can just comment.
You can just comment. We read all the comments, and I'm not sure if we can answer it right away, but within
Couple of days.
we're gonna answer all the questions later on. So
thank you so much, guys,
yeah. Thank you so much.
To join us, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.